Okay, I'm going to start off with the meeting. Welcome, everybody. The first thing on the agenda is the holiday party. The party is on December 4th, and I'll be sending out a flyer that has all of the information about the holiday party. And for anyone that's here tonight, there's a flyer here with all the info on the holiday party. But I'll run through it just for everybody's information. We have the memorial print competition, which is one printed image, and we'll display those and then let everybody vote on the images which they like the best. And based on the votes from all the members here, we'll select the winners. And yes, they shouldn't exceed 14 by 14, and they should be mounted on with a mat or on poster board, but no frames.
It says something's wrong with your speaker and she's talking, I can't hear a thing. And I missed the whole thing.
Stop.
Hello?
Okay, watch my drinks, don't knock them over here.
Can everybody hear me online?
So see this red thing? It says your speaker's not.
Stop. She's gonna hear you.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
My speaker's working.
Ellen,
Yes. Okay.
I think Wendy was just walking in the background.
Oh, okay. Then we'll be putting together some photography gift baskets that can be bid on in our silent auction. And for a little fun, we're going to do a white elephant gift exchange. Something photography related, $15 to $20. And a white elephant.
Sony, Nikon.
Are you donating one?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Donate the one that you sent me the picture of. One of the most popular gifts has always been the SD cards, and everybody seems to steal those and they get passed around, and it's a lot of fun. The 50/50, Bill has the tickets, and if you're online and not here, be sending you your tickets out with the email about the party. And then we ask everybody to bring a snack or refreshment, not something huge, something little, because once everybody brings something, there's always a ton left over. So think about something that's like for 6 people rather than 6, 8, something small. Because if everybody brings something, you have a lot.
You have categories?
Yes.
Ellen. Double check Wendy's coach is posted up, she's not here.
I don't know what the problem is.
I can hear you.
Charlene said she was hearing it fine.
Settings.
Lenny said.
Lenny thinks it's on Wendy's end. I think so. So that covers everything with the holiday party. And if you didn't hear me that well online, you'll be getting a copy of the flyer with all the information.
Ellen,
Yes,
Just backing up to the competition, the prints, just to be sure to mention that you cannot use something that won an award in our competitions.
Yes,
So it has to be a fresh print. Something
that's correct. If it won an award in one of our competitions, you can't re-enter it. But if it did get a 6 or a 7, and
fix
the judge gave you some hints what you could do to improve the image, you can take advantage of that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlene. Okay. NJFCC is having 2 competitions. The first one is the nature competition, which is on this coming Wednesday, November 20th. I sent out the link to Eventbrite for everybody to sign up if they were interested in viewing it live. It'll also be recorded, so if you don't want to view it live, you can watch the recording, and I'll send that out probably sometime around Thanksgiving. The other NJFCC competition is the pictorial. Now, we are the hosts for the pictorial. It's next Monday night. I will send everybody the Zoom link. It'll be live. And once again, you'll also get the link from the recording after the fact. NJFCC also is hosting a program on Sunday, December 8th with Lisa Lango, the visual impact of contrast. And I'll be sending out details on that to follow. And that concludes everything that I had. So we'll move on to our competition. Tonight is landscape, which coincides with the program that Nick did a couple of weeks ago. And of course, our normal open category. And so I'll turn this over to our judge for tonight, Nick Palmieri.
All right. Hi, everybody. So when I did that last program, Ellen had asked me to talk a little bit about, you know, what judges look for and competitions and stuff, and I didn't talk enough about it. So it doesn't look like we have a million images tonight. So I am going to spend a little bit of time talking about just general judging and what judges look for. Do we keep the lights on?
No, we're gonna kill the lights.
So I think everybody knows me, right? You know, I've been judging for a long time, and I judge a lot. And since COVID, I've been judging not only across the country, but I've been judging internationally. I just judged a program in Scotland. I wasn't in Scotland, but I did it virtually. And there's a common denominator among camera clubs all over the world that I see. And the common denominator is that camera clubs tend to look for the technical side of pictures. And the technical part seems to be the #1 thing. And the reason for that is, you know,
Thank you. I don't know what happened.
these competitions are all about working on the technical aspects of your photography, both the composition, the exposure, and the post-processing. I've judged a couple where it's about impact, and that's all fine. You know, when you do these, like when you look at National Geographic and a lot of these other competitions, you know, it's more about impact. But what you're going to notice is that those really good images that have high impact are also technically very sound. And, use this camera club, use the judges' opinions and the judges' critique, use it to improve your own photography. Don't worry about competing against other people, compete against yourself. When judges, make comments, you want to look at these comments a little later and, in a couple of days and say, hey, are those comments valid or those just, I don't really care. And, usually you're going to start seeing some consistencies in the judging. And it's not about nitpicking. It's about looking at those basic elements of photography. Things like, is the exposure right? Is everything in focus? Are your edges clean? Is everything in that frame part of the story? Are there bright spots in the background that are distracting? So, these are all important things, because once you get all this technical stuff down, you want to be able to look and you want to be able to take a picture and focus on the artistic and the impactful part of the photograph. So what I'm going to try to do, and I can't guarantee I'm going to do it, but what I'm going to try to do is, the B, I'm going to focus a lot on composition and on exposure and things like that you do in camera. On the A group, I'm going to focus a little more on the processing. And then when we get to the salon group, I'm not going to say as much. And I want you to kind of get into my brain and think, what do you think he's going to give on this thing, right? And you'll know, because I'll say a lot of consistent things. So kind of do that when you're judging or when you're watching somebody judge, and enjoy the pictures. They're all nice. And and sometimes judges do make mistakes. It's been a long day. I've been teaching all since 9 o'clock this morning. So judges sometimes are tired, and judges make a lot of mistakes, so bear with that. Of course I don't, but the other judges do. So somebody said this is really funny. I judge at this big club in New Jersey, and I'm walking out and these two guys are standing there and they're like, oh, good job, Nick. But you gave one that was one was a 9 and you gave it an 8, and one was a 6 and you gave it a 7. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I said, from now on, don't even call me the judge. Just send you the picture since the final score, right? Everybody's going to be different. And if you're not happy with a judging one time, and you get a bad score and you feel it's a good picture, put it in again. And I always tell the story that, I had this picture. I thought this was, one of my last years competing, and, think I was pretty good at the time. I put it in and it gets a bad score. I'm like, judge is an idiot. Don't know what they're talking about. Put it in the next time. Same score. It was like a 6 or 7. It was a low score. And I'm like, oh, Phil Echo's coming. I know he'll do a good score. And, Phil's a good friend of mine. He didn't know it was my image. Same thing. I'm like, you know what? The picture's a 6. Just deal with it. It's not the 9 that I thought I put it in. And you always think you put in a 9, right? And then the judge picks on these little things, and you're initially like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, but just stop and think, because usually the judges are, completely independent and picking on these little things. So, Bill, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
The sign B, landscape. Beautiful day.
Okay, so I love the way that you have this framed. You're sort of have a leading line, right? You kind of go from the left side of the image, it pulls you in, it pulls you out to the ice caps. I think you have a little bit too much on the top in the sky there. Now, I'm going to guess that there's, you certainly see detail in the sky. I bet you see more detail on the computer screen than you see on there, but that's fine. But do you need all of that sky? Right? If I clip maybe an inch above where that mountain on the right stops, would that really change the picture? Probably not. And I think it would actually contain you and pull you a little bit more deeper into the picture. Your exposure is good. The scene is beautiful. I like the composition. Other than just cropping the sky a little bit, I think it's a nice job. 7.
Georgia Swamp.
Okay, so again, this is sort of similar to the last one, all right? You're using the picture as a leading line. You got beautiful reflections. There's 2 things that I consider visually heavy that are bothering me about this picture. And I bet you once I point it out, you're not going to be able to look at this picture the same again. And you probably a lot of you have already seen it. On the bottom center there, it is really bright, right? There's a really bright spot there. And it's visually heavy. It keeps pulling my eye there, and it's holding my eye there because it's so visually heavy. And that's contrasted by a really dark tree on the right side of the image. And those 2 things are really stopping me from kind of pulling my eye through down that beautiful, river that has a beautiful reflection. So pay attention to everything that's going on in the picture. Remember, your eyes go to the brightest and or sharpest part of the image. You don't want the brightest part to be something that's not really important. And you really don't want something that bright to be in the foreground because it's going to pull your eye. Now, if Bill went back and then came back to this picture, the first thing you're going to look at is that bright spot. When you're looking in your frame, when you're processing pictures, think about that, because as soon as this picture came up, it's the first place my eye went. And you don't want that to happen. I want my eye to go into the back, like that past picture where you had the icebergs in the back. That's where my eye went, right? But either way, otherwise it's a really nice composition. I like the feel of it. We'll look again. 7.
Teton Sunset.
Okay. Great place, Mount Moran. Again, I think you have a little bit too much sky here. So this isn't going in the scoring, but whether it's real or not, but I feel like this image is slanted to the left. Okay. Now, so if you follow the river there in the bend, this is, I forget what it's called, but been there a bunch of times. If you follow it right before the mountain, it looks like that land is just slanted a little bit to the left, and that's bothering me a little bit. I think the composition is beautiful. You have some color in the sky, but again, do you need all that sky there? Right? The beauty is in the red sky behind the mountains. If I crop that and made it a little bit more of a pano type crop, it would be a stronger image because you don't need all that stuff in the top. It's not adding anything, right? It's just sky. I think your exposure is pretty good for the time of day that it is. The trees on the left are a little dark, but you don't have to brighten them up. It's okay. It's still adding to the frame. It's still adding to the picture. I love the S curves pulling around, pulls you to the mountain, pulls you to the beautiful sky. 7.
Surprise Lake Sunrise.
This place is always a surprise. Sometimes there's no water in it at all. Okay, beautiful colors. Again, everybody's using these leading lines, and it's really cool. And there doesn't always have to be something at the end of the leading line, but the leading line could be the interest going to it. Again, it looks a little bright in the sky beyond, but I think you've maintained the exposure. I wish there was a little bit more reflections in the water, but it's not horrible because the blue popping off the sky is making it nice, contrasting with the beautiful leaves. Again, we're going to look at this one again, but I just wish there was just a little more interest. Maybe the sky was a little more interesting or more reflections in the water, but I do think you did a nice job with it. 7.
Lighted trees.
We're okay with this as a landscape?
Your decision, you're the
Okay.
judge.
All right. So, I'm not fully convinced I'd call this a landscape, but it's more of a cityscape where something like that, but we'll critique it anyway. So I think you did a good job holding the exposure in this one, right? Because, you know, sometimes when you're dealing with lights like this, it's a tough exposure. Again, your light is falling off a lot at the top there. I probably would have cropped this a little bit tighter. When you have an image that has dark borders, put a white stroke line around it. Because if you look at the top left, do you know where the screen starts and the picture ends? You kind of lose it in there, right? So if you put a white stroke line around that, it would clarify where the picture is. And it's just like hanging up your picture in a gallery. You could have a beautiful picture, but if it's not framed, matted, and lit perfectly, it's not going to look as good. You put a piece of garbage picture up and you frame it and mat it beautiful, and it looks so much better. So remember that in your presentation. You know, it's a white stroke line. You could just Google how to do it with whatever program you're doing. It's really easy. It's a nice thin line. And when I see one, I'll point it out. So I just think this picture is just a little bit too bright. There's a lot of lights going on, and it's not really, you know, everything's not gelling together. You know, there's something going on way in the back, but your subject is right up here in the front, right? So I kind of want that reversed a little bit. It is cool looking lights, but I'd want that reversed a little bit, because I look at this bright thing in the front, then I go to the back, and it's like there's nothing really there. I wish this statue was in the back left, because then you'd have really nice leading lines to it. 6.
Wetland at dawn.
Okay. So, you know, some people like to call this an intimate landscape, and I beautiful colors, beautiful reflections. Again, I like the lines, and the lines are caused by the light. So the light comes from the left side, goes to the right, then it goes back to the left, and it kind of curves around. And it even draws you in, pulling like, hey, you know, there's more interest behind there. You know, this was really well seen. This is good exposure across the board. 7. Stroke line. See the stroke line, the white? Learn how to do that.
Fishing village.
Okay, looks like somebody was in Norway. All right, so good exposure. A lot of interest there with the color. But this is a really busy picture, and I don't really know what I'm focusing on. You know, what do you want me to focus on? Is it like the busy harbor? You know, there's just too much going on, and my eye doesn't focus anywhere. You know, what I would have done with this is think about, you know, maybe use a longer lens and just focus on 1 or 2 things. But as presented, it's just too busy. 6.
St. Lawrence.
Okay. It's again, beautiful, diagonal, pulling you into the scene. I wish you didn't cut the land off here on the right side. And again, that might be an island, and there might not be land on the right side, because I wish that just curved a little bit more out there. But again, I think you did a nice job with it as presented. Beautiful sky. Now in this one, I don't mind the fact that you left so much sky there, because I love the blue in the sky. Nice colors, you know, there's blue, there's cyans, there's orange, there's reds, there's green, there's lots of layers of color. I you know, I want to say, I mean, I guess you're not halfway through. I mean, like the horizon might be a little too close to the middle, maybe play a little with that so it's not quite in the middle, but in this picture, I don't think it's bad. 7.
Sunset from our backyard.
Okay, so cool sunset, but now I want you to tell me something. You're trying to show the sunset, and you know on the exposure on your camera, it's not going to get any trees, right? Because the dynamic range, even on the best of the cameras, probably going to have some problems with this exposure, short of image blending or HDR or something. So why do you have all that negative space in the bottom? Right? You have a lot of negative space. And again, a stroke line would clarify where that image stops and the screen starts, because that's making it look like more negative space, because I don't exactly know where that image ends on the bottom. So, you know, how much of that image, half, third, or is it negative space, just darkness? If you want to show the sky, you might be able to show a little bit of the tops of the trees, but you know, just worry about the sky, because you have a beautiful sky there, but you know, composition because of the trees, not really adding a lot. 6.
Winter Wonderland.
Okay, so I'm not gonna like flip on you here. You know, the subject is these trees, right? But the fact that you have stuff in the back, it's kind of okay because it's a little subdued, and it really gives these trees a sense of place. Now, personally, I probably would have just focused on 1 or 2 trees, because I think it just would have been a little bit more balanced. But you know, you are showing a scene. I think your exposure is good. You notice you see detail in the snow. 50% of the people blow the snow out where you see no detail. You did a really good job with this exposure. You know, do you need as much of that landscape behind it? I don't know. It's really about trees. That landscape behind is okay because it shows a sense of place. I don't know if you need as much there. 7.
View from Cadillac Mountain.
Okay. Been there several times myself. So you did a nice long exposure showing movement of the clouds. Interesting choice to turn this one to black and white. You know, first of all, I love your crop. I love the vertical crop on this one. I personally think, you know, I think this is a beautiful image. For competition, I don't know, because it doesn't follow a lot of the rules. I don't think in theory it's a good choice for black and white, because it's a sunrise, right? Sunrise from Cadillac Mountain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the place to go. If you go to Acadia, you got to go up here for sunrise. There'll be 9 trillion people up there with you, but it is still a nice place to go. You know, it's kind of abstract. It's kind of an abstract sunset. And it's a beautiful picture for competition. I'm not sure if it's fully working for me. There's a lot of dead space in that darkness there. Again, not horrible. I'd hang this on my wall, but I think for competition, it's just not wow enough. 6.
Breaking Up.
Okay. So, you know, it's an interesting picture. You got a little color in the sky, but now in a picture like this, I don't like that horizon dead in the middle, because I think there's a lot of foreground that doesn't have a lot of interest in it, right? You know, the sky has some interest in it. The icebergs have some interest in them, but you know, that bottom third, do you really need that? You know, what does it really add into your picture? You could still see the reflection if you cut a third from the bottom, like that little white one on the left there. If you just cut that out, I think the picture would be stronger. You know, it's more about the sky, and I think that strong foreground de-emphasizes the sky a little bit. 6.
Newcastle Island at dawn.
Maybe it was the vodka I drank before I got here, but this one looks tilted too, to me. But here's the deal. The lighthouse isn't tilted, right? Now, you have to make a decision in these pictures, right? Especially entering them in a competition, right? The lighthouse is straight, I think. The house looks a little crooked, but the landscape looks tilted to the left. Now, you could tell me it's absolutely not. That's just the way it was, and that might be. But in a picture, it's the first thing that got to me. And I'm thinking, like, why is this thing slanted? Right? So that's bugging me a lot. Sometimes you got to play with, you know, these different kind of crops and the perspective tools to straighten things out a little bit, because in the picture, whether it's slanted or not, it needs to look straight. Also, with that said, I know you probably kept a little foreground. I love the water in the foreground. It's not bad. I don't mind the loon in the water, but there's a buoy or something hanging there that's just distracting the heck out of me. It's right in the lighthouse reflection, right? That's bothering the heck out of me. Again, just this little spot bothering the heck out of me. Do you need that there? You could take that out in half a second, right? You could just clone that thing out in half a second. So I would straighten it a little bit, take that out, and I think you have a beautiful picture here. But as presented, we're going to give this a 6. Bring that one back.
Sunset at Lakewood Lake.
All right, beautiful colors. Again, so you're silhouetting the trees, which I think is good because they are small, right? So I think you did a good job with that. I do like the reflections. You know, colors are pretty dynamic. They might be pushed just a little bit too much. Just be careful, just a little bit on those sliders. But, you know, with that said, in the Adirondacks, I have seen crazy sunsets that are pretty red. So 7.
Iceland's landscape.
Okay. Beautiful blue sky. Again, look at the diagonal in there. Maybe it would have cropped a little off the front, but no big deal. Goes from the right to the left, goes back to the mountains. Pretty cool. I think your exposure is good. 7.
Daybreak on the rocks.
Okay, again, like, you know, sort of pastel kind of mellow colors. I think that's beautiful. I like the little reflection from the moon or the sun, whatever's back there. I think your foreground's done nicely. I love the way you have it cropped. I love the way you have that rock in the third there on the left. Yeah, this is strong. This is very nice. 7.
Okay.
Eight. Seven. 8. 7. 9. 9. 8. 7. I think it's too saturated. 8. 9. Really nice pictures there. Hope I didn't talk too much. I'll talk less as we go.
Sign B, landscape, honorable mention. Beautiful day, Carla Schwett. Teton Sunset, Edward Schulman. Winter Wonderland, Francine Silver. Iceland's landscape, Francine Silver. Equal merit, Wetland at Dawn, Wayne Quinto. St. Lawrence, Margot Partridge. Daybreak on the Rocks, Wayne Quinto. Okay, signed A. Signed A landscape. Late summer, Trail Ridge Road.
Okay, I like your landscape crop. I think your exposure is good. It's beautiful composition. I think it's processed pretty well. You know, there's some deep shadows in there. I'm debating if they're They have a little color cast in them, but I think that they're good the way they are, and I don't mind those deep shadows. I think they kind of add to the picture. 7.
Fort Monmouth Sunset.
Okay, so again, I think you have a nice composition here. I wish you didn't cut that tree off on the right side, that log, whatever the heck it is. You know, I love the way you have the sun just peeking over. I just wish you didn't cut that thing off on the side. I think I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not cut off. 7.
The beauty of fall in the Tetons.
Nice, processed really well. Maybe a touch too much red in that grass in the foreground, but you know, otherwise beautiful. And I know those grasses get kind of red orangey, but just might be pushed a little bit, but beautiful sky. You know, some people are going to say it's not the best time of day, but that, you know, your sky looks great. It's not, it's only helping the picture of those clouds. 7.
Catskill Mountain Morning.
All right. I think your reds are pushed just a tad much, but you know, again, state New York gets nice colors, but not so sure. Spent a lot of time there to get this red. Now, I love the diagonal, and you have a really interesting composition here. The clouds, you're looking down at fog or clouds over the mountains. It seems like there's not a lot of detail in them. I wish you could just pull a little more detail out of those clouds. It's a good opportunity, and if you don't know what it is, look it up afterward. Always look to set your black and white points when you're processing a picture. And that's, you could do that with the curves or levels. You could do it with the black and white sliders as well. But I'm not sure that the contrast on this picture is where it should be. The sky looks a funky color to me, and I think that color of that sky is caused by the contrast not being right. I think if your black and white points were set on this, I think the clouds or the fog over there would be stronger. I think your sky would be a little bit of a better color, and I think your reds wouldn't have been quite as saturated. 6.
Fall scene.
Okay, well, I'm glad that I don't look at titles, because I'm not sure that this is a fall scene. I mean, I see a little color in there, but you know, beautiful fountain. I like the way you caught it at a good shutter speed, but you know, I'm not convinced that there's anything, you know, that makes this like a competition. You remember, this is a competition, and you know, it's a picture of a fountain, so it's okay. It's a nice picture, but you know, technically, I think it's good. Your exposure looks pretty good. A lot of people blow those whites out. They look a little hot to me, but I can't see close enough to say that they are. Make sure after you process a picture, you know, you have 0 to 255 on your scale there. When things go through Photo Contest Pro and through the projector, make sure they're not above 240 on the right and below like 20 on the left. All right. Because you know, they still might not be blown out on your screen, but then when it projects through Photo Contest Pro, you know, it adds some brights and darks into it somehow. And that was told to me by Jack, who developed Photo Contest Pro. So make sure the right and the left, look at your histogram after you process the image, and make sure that it's below 240 on one side and above 20 on the other side. But I just don't think this has enough impact as a competition picture. 6.
Manasquan Reservoir.
Wow. Where's the water? The last time I was there, it was like there was so much water, there was so much fog. Those trees were just like coming out of the water. It was so cool.
It's actually only 70% filled.
Wow. All right, well, enough about that. Let's start with the picture. Sorry, I digressed to that, but so this is kind of interesting. You know, I see your idea of focusing on that one just big tree, and it is kind of interesting. But again, does it really have the wow? There is a lot of negative space in this picture. You know, the blue sky, you know, would this be better just the vertical focusing around that tree? I think it might have been. I just think there's too much negative space around that tree. I understand what you're trying to say here, but for a competition, I just don't think it's enough. 6.
Clearing thunderstorm.
Okay, love the contrast of the red and the blue and the clouds. I think that's good. I'm not sure there's enough here, you know, where you're kind of focusing on the colors more than the actual composition. I think your colors are good. Maybe push the red just a little bit too much, but you know, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I just think there needs to be a little bit more in this composition than there is. 6.
Lake Solitude.
Okay, well, you certainly caught a beautiful reflection there. And you do have some fall colors. You know, it's a nice overall picture. I think it's clean. I think it's exposed pretty well. I think it's processed pretty well. It's kind of simple. You know, if it's enough, you know, impact for a competition, but technically it's good. 7.
Still standing in the beauty.
Tony, you gotta tell me to stop drinking before I come here. This one looks slanted to me too. Is your projector slanted? Am I giving all these
I don't know, the line, the white border looks right. Does it?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm just
okay.
On my screen, it looks slanted also.
Oh, so it's Ellen's fault that I'm not giving this a good score. 'Cause she- No, so again, really pay attention to that. And you know, certain people like B, like these little things just bother me in photographs like that. All right. First of all, this is a gorgeous picture. This is done beautifully. You're processed good. The scene is beautiful. I love the sort of, you know, sort of implied reflections. I know they're real, but they're just kind of mellow there, right? The only thing that bothers me a little bit about this picture is a little bit slanted. And just remember, photo competition, you could have the most beautiful picture like this is, and that little thing is going to pull you down a little bit. 7.
Otsego Lake. That's how you say it.
Okay, nice. The nasty cloud, man. There's something bad going to happen there. Yeah, I like the way you have it in the third foreground, kind of mellow. I actually like you have a jet ski or a boat out there on the right. It sort of gives a little bit of balance to this. 7.
Wildflower Field.
Okay, again, beautiful job. Now, I know that some judges get crazy if you cut the tops of trees off. I don't mind that here. I don't think you're, you know, putting more in the top of the tree here isn't going to really change this image. So I don't mind that, but just be careful because some judges get a little crazy about that. I love your line going through here because you got curves in the landscape and it's sort of the light follows that curve. And that's beautiful. I love the different colors you have in here. I think you did a nice job. One little nitpick, always go around your edges. So if I start on the top and go across the top and then come down the right, those little branches poking in there, just a little bit distracting. Otherwise, I think you did a nice job. 7.
Near the, say that again? Near the precise late morning.
Precipice.
Precipice. Thank you.
Precipice. Say that 5 times.
Yes.
Anyway, nice precipice got here. So I like what you're trying to do here. I like the landscape, but your light is not good in this picture. And two things, I think you're at a bad time of day. And again, I don't think your black and white points are set. 95% of the pictures that I process, especially landscape, probably 99% of landscape, I'm setting that black and white point. Because what that does is it mathematically gives you the perfect contrast. Now you might be able to change, you might want to change the contrast after, but you're starting with the right contrast. And when you start doing all these other things, like changing hue saturation and texture and what's that other thing, you know, all those things you change in Lightroom, it messes your contrast up. So you always want to start with the best one. I don't think your contrast is right here. 6.
Harvest Moon over the Aspen Grove.
Oh boy. I think that moon's a little big for that was there, but you know, the aspens are beautiful. The picture is beautiful. The moon's a distractor, I believe. I think it's just too big for this picture. And whether it was that big or not, you know, I don't know. You could have blended it, taken one with a long lens. I just think it's too big. And I think this picture without the moon, it would have been a 9. 6.
New York Scenic Byway.
Okay, again, nice curve, brings you back to the fog over there, and then the fog brings you up to the sky where it's a little bit brighter. You got some cool cloud reflections in the water. The water's a little bit bright, but it's the way it was, because that, you know, that open sky there is just reflecting the heck out from that water. I wish the water, I might have toned down the water a little bit, maybe brought out the colors in the trees just a bit more. I think it would have been stronger. 7.
Fog in the Berkshire Valley.
All right, so you know, I wish this was the fall. You got cool fog, you got a really nice composition. I think it flows very well. You know, the green is a little bit boring, but I think you did a good job with this one. 7.
Okay.
9. 8. 9. 7. I want to give this one a 9. Maybe I should give it a 6 and they could straighten it and you could bring it back, because it would definitely be a 9. No, you know what? If this was a salon group, it would get an 8. It's getting a 9. This is beautiful. 8. 9. 8. 8.
Dying Day Landscape. Honorable mention. Fort Monmouth Sunset, Jim Chelan. Otsego Lake, Al Figuccio. New York Scenic Byway, Al Figuccio. Fog in the Berkshire Valley, Wendy Kaplitz. Equal Merit. Late Summer Trail Ridge Road, Fernando Gomes. The Beauty of Fall in the Tetons, Wendy Milligan. Still Standing in Beauty, Wendy Milligan. Wildflower Field, Wendy Kaplitz. Okay. Okay, Assigned Salon, Landscape,
I'm not going to talk much, just going to score.
Autumn at Ken Lockwood Gorge.
7.
Sunrise,
7.
Castle Hill Lighthouse,
Oh, I was just there. Got a major blue color cast on this picture. 7.
Blue Arrow, Raritan Bay,
7.
Cheesequake Sunset,
I think these colors are just pushed too much here. It's just the landscape and the sky are just not matching. 6.
Changing Weather,
7.
and Sonic Station,
Great reflection. 7.
Kodori Farm Gettysburg Battlefield,
So, this is one of those pictures where the negative space in the image adds to it because you got that red barn there. Right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff on the left and I might say, well, just crop it to the left of that barn. But no, in this one, it just flows nicely, right? You got those beautiful clouds and this is one of those, I just judged a contest on minimalism. This would be really good in minimalism, right? Because, you got so much sky there and some green land and you just got that red barn hanging out there. I think you did really nice on this one. 7.
Sunrise on the Beach,
Okay, cool curves in the water, following the light, good clouds. 7.
Into the Desert,
Maybe your yellow's pushed a little bit too much, but I think you got a nice scene that kind of curves through. The two rock formations are sort of balancing each other out a little bit. 7.
Little Red Boathouse,
Again, beautiful, pulling you out to that red boathouse. Beautiful sky. It's probably Norway again. 7.
Sunrise, how do you say that? Nakote Creek,
Okay, love the reflection, love the sky. Maybe it taken a little bit off the sky, but this is one of those images that these are hard to process. These are hard to take because that sun is so bright. You're getting, you got the greenery on the side, you got the bright sky, the bright reflection. But I think you did well. I just might crop a little bit off the top. 7. I eliminated 1.
yes,
8. 8. Do y'all see where the rocks have a blue cast to them? It might be from the sky, but that's just too much blue on there. Great sky. It's a beautiful picture anyway. 8. 8. 9. 8. 9. 9. 8. 9. 8.
the hell happened here?
That doesn't look good.
Okay. Sign Salon Landscape, honorable mention. Autumn at Kenwood Lock Gorge, Charlene Federowitz. Sunrise, Lenny McDonald. Castle Hill Lighthouse, Arlene Soprazzetti. Blue Arrow, Raritan Bay, Ellen Stein. Masonic Station, Arlene Sopenzetti. Into the Desert, Lenny McDonald. Sunrise at Nacote Creek, Ellen Stein. Equal Merit. Changing Weather, Lenny McDonald. Vidori Farm, Gettysburg Battlefield, Ellen Stein. Sunrise on the Beach, Charlene Fedorowitz. Little Red Boathouse, Arlene Sopenzetti. Okay, open competition. Open B. Waiting.
You all get the same scores I got in the salon group? Nobody's ever gonna agree. It's just the way it is. And beautiful shadows here. It's pretty cool. Or silhouettes. Good choice for black and white. 7.
Village.
Again, I think it's just a little bit too busy. You know, what are you trying to show? The foreground or the, it's a little, there's a lot of layers and there's a lot going on. 6.
After You.
Love the brick wall on the left. I love the colors in there. This is interesting, but your time of day it's just not working. I mean, if you had an overcast sky, I think this would have been a lot stronger. But it's kind of pulling you out through those doors, and there's nothing there but some trees and some brightness. 6.
Black Skimmers.
Okay. You want these guys coming toward you, or at least going across the front of you. You don't want rear end views. I know it's cool that you got them skimming, but these are hard and these take a lot of practice, and getting a little bit lower and getting them parallel with you or getting them coming at you, that's really what you want. 6.
Pigeon Love.
Well, great storytelling here. You guys tell me the problem here. That light is really bright, right, from the left side, and it's just pulling your eye to this guy on the left back, and it's completely blown out. This picture would be really strong in better light. 6.
The Portal.
Okay, so you got a beautiful reflection there. The story is about the reflection, right? If you wanted to show off, the decorations on the porch, which are nice, I would have had the whole door in there and had this thing even on both sides of the door, right? The pumpkins are pulling your eye away. Look at the reflection. It's beautiful, right? If you look in that door, there's your picture. Just show that reflection. Just show the door and the reflection. I think it would be a lot stronger. 6.
Landscape Art.
Okay. Might take a little off the top, but interesting, nice. See, he's messing with the colors too, making the sky darker than it really is. See that? See, painters could do that. What's that? That's right. That's artistic. See, artists can do that. Photographers, they always get in trouble if they do that, right? And then if it's a good picture, they say, "Oh, such a good picture, it looks like a photograph." And then when you take a really good photograph, say, "Oh, such a good photograph, it looks like a painting." Can't get it right. Anyway, it's the truth. 7.
Blackish Swallowtail.
Right, good job capturing this guy. It's nice and sharp. You could see his head. I mean, I would have liked the background a little darker, but I think you did a good job with this one. 7.
Egret Liftoff.
Okay, again, good capture. Wrong time of day. Right, so you got this guy taking off. You got a nice reflection of him, but look at the wings. right? You lost all the beautiful detail in there. Why? Because you're not at a good time of the day. The other thing is just that left side, those out of focus leaves, they're so bright, right? They're just distracting you, right? I just want to look at that beautiful egret. I don't care about that. Just, you could clone those out in post-processing in half a second, and you'll never know they were ever there. 6.
Beauty and the Beach.
Okay. So post-processing here, just a couple things. She's sort of blending into the rocks, right? So you're losing sort of her body. The other thing is, you know, these sort of environmental portraits like this, it is really important that you have the whole, you know, you could see the person's whole body, and you can't. You can kind of see hands there, but then her torso is blending in with the rocks. You know, God bless his soul, my friend Ben Venezio, when he'd go on vacation with his family, he dressed his kids in red so that when he took pictures, they would stand out. And I kid you not about that. That's the truth. If you notice, if you ever see his family pictures, his kids are always wearing red, because if he took a picture, he wanted them to stand out. So, you know, nice idea, but I don't think it's executed as good as it could be. 6.
Goblins.
All right, so nice, you got the 3 or the 5, but it's mainly about the 3. You kind of have them, you know, the way they're staggered, they have all different faces. Nice, simple picture. You know, maybe not the best for competition, but it is kind of a cute picture, and I think you did a good job with it. 7.
Buffalo portrait in Yellowstone.
Okay, good detail in the buffalo. Bison, whatever you want to call it. You know, nice subdued background. Maybe darken it a little bit, but not, you know, not too much, because you do want his head to stand out from the background. So you made it small enough where it's not distracting. 7, good job.
Can he see?
Good story, that's for sure. Next picture is him getting waffled by a bus. That's what you should have waited for. So just say. Sorry, I spent my early life as a paramedic, so I've seen a lot of dumb things like this. Good. Anyway, so it's a great story. That white car that was distracting. It's probably one of Phil Echo's Lamborghinis or something. You know, probably running in there to trade it in for a Ferrari. I just wish that bright car wasn't there. It's really distracting. Or, you know, just use the burn tool and just burn that down a little bit so it's not so distracting. Because again, if Bill went back and came back to this, the first thing you're gonna look at is that white car, not him, because that's the first thing that I looked at. 6, great story though.
Okay.
9. Oh, I was waiting. I didn't realize that was the title. I
Oh,
was waiting to give it the score. 8. 9. 8. 9.
open B, honorable mention. Landscape art, Margot Partridge. Goblins, Margot Partridge. Equal merit. Waiting, Wayne Quinto. Blackish Swallow, Edward Schulman. Buffalo Portrait in Yellowstone, Edward Schulman. Open A. Branching out.
Okay, so this is one of those pictures that, you know, doesn't exactly follow the rules, right? It's busy. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. With that said, the way that it's processed, I think your process is beautiful. It's nice and subtle. You know, you do sort of have the lines of the tree kind of dividing things in the picture. I'm going to guess that you artistically push back the contrast because of the type of picture is, and I think that was a really good choice. 7.
What's the buzz?
All right. So again, the hive is the star of the show, but it's the darkest thing in the image for the most part, right? Everything around it's so bright you can't really see the hive. If you darkened everything and brightened up that hive, I think it would be a lot stronger. 6.
Waves breaking over coral aerial view.
Okay, nice. You know, I don't know if this was done by a drone or just somebody hanging over a cliff, but I love your composition. I love the colors. Got some really bright spots there in the splashes, but 7. We'll look again.
Attack.
All right, so great capture here. I think you held your whites. There's you know, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in this picture. You know, it's got storytelling. It's not always easy to hold the whites in these birds. Snowy egrets, maybe, yeah. Say maybe the feet aren't as yellow as they could be, but the beaks are yellow, so I think that's just the way they were. 7.
The leaves are changing.
All right, so interesting concept. I love the leaves. I love the colors. I'm bothered by the background, right? So you probably darkened this in post-processing, which is fine, but you could still see a little bit. So I'm not sure, did you fully darken this, or were you know, right? You see how kind of around the outside of the leaf pattern, you could sort of see them back there, but you don't. So it becomes distracting. Either just make the whole thing black or leave it there and just darken it a little bit. 6.
Fall bloom.
Okay. So, you know, really pushing the artistic side of this one. You know, I'm not exactly sure what was done, and it doesn't really matter. I think your finishing touches are nice. I wish that main one wasn't right dead in the center, but other than that, I think you did a good job. 7.
Ancient ruins of Ionia, Scotland.
A nice simple image, you know, processed beautifully, exposed beautifully. You know, composition is nice. You sort of have that sort of dead grass kind of as a leading line, and you have this arch over here on the left contrasting with the mountains and the rocks on the right, and I think that keeps it balanced. I like the crop that you have. 7.
White fronted goose.
All right, so you certainly captured this guy, the right shutter speed and everything else. For my liking, if Pete Lakos was here, he would love this picture because he thinks everything should be cropped tightly. I think this is cropped too tight. You know, these birds need somewhere to fly in your brain. That's the rhythm of the picture. And a picture like this, it becomes static because there's no rhythm. You know, they always say if something's moving, a car, an animal, a bird, you want to leave room in front of it, sort of for the rhythm of the picture, for the bird to go somewhere. You know, in my mind, it's like this bird is just trapped in this thing. And again, personal opinion, if Pete Lakos was here, he'd be like, this is the way every bird should be cropped. I disagree. I think you need more room in the front. Otherwise, I think you did a nice job. I think it's sharp. It's a great capture. 7.
Squash flower at farm stand.
All right, so first of all, the image is really bright. Okay, I think you need to darken it a little bit. I don't think it was taken too bright. I don't think it's overexposed. It's just too bright. Make sure that you're doing the RGB color space when you convert for Photo Contest Pro. Make sure that your monitors are calibrated, because I'm going to guess it didn't look as bright on your monitor at home. And then again, just go around the edges. Notice on the top right, you got a little container there, and there's that whiteness in there. That's bugging the heck out of me. 6.
Autumn watchungs.
Okay, so sort of similar to that first one we looked at, but it doesn't have as much, I don't really know where my eye's gonna rest. The other one, just remember that first one we looked at, the tree went right up the center. In this one, there's trees on the left, there's one tree on the right. The colors are nice, but I just don't think there's enough like division within the picture to make it easy to make it work as one big picture. 6.
Black skimmers skimming over the sea.
Oh, so now you got them coming back at you. So that's much better. You notice you're on an equal plane. They got a nice bank to them. Your exposure is held a little bit bright, but I think that's okay. Left more room in the front. They have some place to go. Maybe I would have cropped a little off the bottom. Do you need all that in the bottom? If there was a reflection there's you could sort of tell there's a little bit of reflection, but it's not like a clean reflection. So, I would have cropped a little off the bottom, but I think you did nice at the 7.
Thunderbirds opposing pass.
Okay. Photographed a couple air shows this year. This is always my favorite part. Stupid camera shoots 30 frames a second and it doesn't get this at the right thing. But anyway, sometimes it does. Yeah, this is a good capture. These are hard to get, certainly exciting to get. 7.
Fabric rose.
Okay, so I like your high key background. I think it works well. I'm not convinced. Well, I'm not going to say it unless I'm sure. So I think enough is sharp that needs to be sharp. I think this picture would have been stronger if you put it at a diagonal. It's a little static, just standing straight up in there. I love the color. I love the high key. Just a little bit of an angle, I think it would have been stronger. But we'll look again. 7. 9.
Sorry about that.
I thought that was like, a great picture was coming up. I thought you were playing that before your picture. 8, only because that water is blown out. If that water was better, this would clearly be a 9. 9. 8, I wish that flower wasn't dead in the center. 8. 8. 9. Great picture, but I just wish they were a little closer. I mean, we're going to go with an 8 on this one. 7.
Open A, honorable mention. Waves breaking over coral aerial view. Wendy Milligan. Fall Bloom, Fernando Gomes. Ancient Ruins of Ione, Scotland, Wendy Milligan. White Fronted Goose, Al Faguccio. Thunderbirds Opposing Pass, Al Faguccio. Equal Merit. Branching Out, Fernando Gomes. Attack, Al Faguccio. Black Skimmers Skimming Over the Sea, Wendy Milligan. Open Salon. Still Looking for My Mommy.
7,
Waterfall.
7,
Night Cruising.
7,
Reflections at Haddon Lake.
I think the sky's kind of boring. I wish there was a little more color. 6,
Morning Dew.
7. Nice details in that one.
Gold Dust Gecko.
Nice. I love his tongue sticking out. You know, like something like this, I don't mind that you cut him off because it's all about the tongue and the face and the paw, foot, whatever. 7,
Elvin Wood.
I'm thinking needed the raise there. I'm gonna guess those were added later. I think it would have been stronger without the raise. Beautiful job, 7.
Do I Look Fat?
Um. Something looks off in those whites. I think those whites are a little bit bright. We'll look at this one again. 7,
Painted Lady.
beautiful. 7,
Feather.
right? Really nice, simple shot. Not sure if you need as much on the right, but again, just personal opinion. 7,
Snake Tongue Truffle Club.
wow. That's pretty cool. Just be careful that there's some bright spots in the back and it's a little bright on the side. You got absolutely beautiful picture here. Just be careful. So do you see in the back left, see where it's kind of bright? Close your eye a little bit. And right on the right edge here, just a little bit bright, close your eye. Just be careful of those things. 7,
Foxy Portrait.
yeah, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, but something looks a little fugazied along his right side. Certainly looking at you. I'm not sure if that background is natural. Like I am looking up along his back. That does not look right to me. And the hairs on his ear don't look right to me. You know, sorry if I make a mistake, but I just don't think that background is natural in there. 6, 9. Great, beautiful colors. It's a nice little scene. I've seen this somewhere, I think. Where was it? What did it say? What's the title?
I don't know if I'll go
That's
back.
right. Yeah, it's the one. 9. So I've been to this place many times. I'm not sure those trees are natural color. I think those were put in post-processing, but you know, your light trails are nice for the most part. 8, 9, very nice. 9. I wish those sun rays just not natural. I mean, maybe they are. I don't think they are, but so I think this would be stronger without them. 8. 8. 9. 9. So what I said before, what I thought to myself was, I said, if my eye doesn't go to those bright spots when it comes in, it's gonna be a 9. If my eyes go to the bright spots, it's gonna be an 8. And my eyes went right to the bright spots on the left. 8. Take darken that, and that's a 9 for sure.
Open salon, honorable mention. Night cruising, Arlene Sopenzetti. Elvin Wood, Arlene Sopenzetti. Do I Look Fat, Ellen Stein. Snake Tongue Truffle Club, Arlene Sopenzetti. Equal Merit. Still Looking for My Mommy, Charlene Fedowitz. Waterfall, Lenny McDonald. Morning Dew, Charlene Fedowitz. Gold Dust Gecko, Lenny McDonald. Painted Lady, Charlene Fedowitz. Feather, Lenny McDonald. And that concludes.
Does anybody have any questions other than I didn't give your image a 9? Yes,
So, on landscape,
yes.
can you have people in the walls? Like, and more like a person in the distance, you have.
So as long as it's not just nature landscapes, you could have people in them, and in if you've ever looked at Galen Rowell's work, he puts people in all his landscapes for perspective. Right, so if you look up Galen Rowell, look up his stuff, and I mean, he's like the best of all time that does people. But if you're using it as perspective, right? So don't think of it as a portrait of the person. Think of it as you're using that person to show, you know, this tree is so big, or the mountain is so big, or the, you know, the waterfall size. So yeah, you can. Just be careful. I believe here, Ellen, right? Landscape, you could have people in them, right?
Yeah.
As long as they're not the main part of it. Just watch like some competitions, like if you're a CamNats, Camera Naturalist Camera Club, you can't have any people in it at all.
I think we're going to email instead of people. Like, okay. Like, okay, well, people.
Yeah, the person can't be the main subject in it. Okay.
Nick, can you repeat the questions for those who are remote?
Thank you all.
Wait a minute.
Hope you had fun.
Does anybody online have any questions for Nick?
No.
Nobody online has any questions for you. Congratulations to everybody. And with that, we'll say good night.
Good night, good competition.
Good night.